Good morning, it's Keen again. Today I want to make a discussion video to talk about something that's been on my mind for a bit regarding the special weapons in Splatoon 3, specifically Inkjet. I recently made a tweet expressing how I feel Inkjet doesn't feel like it belongs in 3, and I kinda did that because I wanted to gauge opinions on the topic and sort of interest. So I figured it'd be good to make a video as a follow-up to that. Surprising me is how much attention the tweet got because it got, I believe, like 1,000 likes, if not more. I haven't looked at it in a bit. And I didn't really know if this was a common opinion or not, so that's kind of why I did it in the first place. And I got a bunch of comments to sort of help me fill the gaps and sort of get more people's opinions before I made this video in full. Now, for the comments I got in the tweet, did it really change how I feel about Inkjet in Splatoon 3? Well, let's talk about it, because to start with that, we have to start from the beginning. And that is, why don't I like Inkjet in Splatoon 3? Ignoring my bias of not, being a fan of returning specials from 2 necessarily, Inkjet doesn't really overall fit the system of the game. When you design maps in a game like Splatoon, you need to design them in a way that accommodates and fits and complements specials. So you have to insert pieces here and there where a special and how it's designed will have advantages and useful spots, to give you a reason to use it. If we take Zipcaster as an example, a special that was new to Splatoon 3, it's more clear to me that that special is built with the design of the maps. We can take a few examples, like on Scorch. You have that huge cage section in which you can zip cast all the way up to climb up or go inside of it, do either or of those things. Outside of that, it can be a neat triple ink strike spot, a sprinkler spot, that kind of thing, but it clearly feels designed for Zipcaster. Heeltail Alley has a bunch of tall poles that you can zip onto, and there's one part in the enemy spawn on an elevated bit that you can only get to with something like Zipcaster on the enemy team, so that's like another good example. With Inkjet, you're taking a special that is primarily designed for maps from Splatoon 2 because it was a special new to Splatoon 2, so it was more of a focus in the developers' minds, I feel, to make maps that accommodate it. And you're putting it in a game where it feels to me that Inkjet is so much lower on the priority than the new specials. And you put it on map designs that clearly aren't really designed with Inkjet in mind, and I think Flounder Heights is a good example of that. That's a map that existed in 1. It's a bit different in 3, but it's still functionally like the Splatoon 1 design, and obviously Inkjet didn't exist back then. So say you pop Inkjet on top of the building, it's kind of awkward and there's so much of a distance to even hit anything, and the angles are sort of weird. Like, the only spot that seems good is pretty much like the bottom left by Snipe, but even then, it's still a question of why are you going to use Jetpack, and that's going to go into my next topic. And that is, how strong is Inkjet in Splatoon 3? To be completely blunt, Inkjet is easily one of the worst specials in 3 as of the current patch. It's a committal special by nature because you have the recoil mechanic attached to it, and pretty much the focus of the special is for killing things. But in terms of killing things, it's not actually really good at that, especially, fighting a lot of the new specials in 3. Its damage on direct is painfully low. I'm thinking off the top of my head while recording this, I think it's like 120. So it's prone to getting stalled out really easily, especially by a lot of the new specials and even a returning special like Booyah Bomb. Like Big Bubbler it struggles against, Booyah Bomb stalls it out. Even in Splatoon 2 when they added Booyah Bomb, it was one of the best anti-Inkjet weapons or special weapons in the game, because I think it takes 3 shot directs to even break the armor, then a 4th to kill the person. It's just not realistic. It's really good against Jetpack. And there's other things like Inkvac, which can totally absorb the shots, making the special completely useless. Like, sort of stuff like that. It doesn't have good matchups against a lot of the specials. Even offensively speaking, Inkjet has always been a high-risk kind of special because of the user's vulnerability during it, but this issue is a bit circumvented in 2 because you could combine it with Ink Armor, but that doesn't exist in 3. Which is a good thing, because armor is questionable design in my opinion, but that's not the focus here. Inkjet in general is super vulnerable, especially after the triple Ink Strike buff, due to its poor airspeed and lack of mobility, and even then, like, the most powerful special in the game right now, Crab Tank, will just laser you out of the sky if you try and do anything. So by slapping a special built for a completely different game into a sequel where it doesn't feel like anything accommodates it or complements it whatsoever, and you take away the best complementary special to enable it, what do you really have? What you have is kind of this awkward, underwhelming special that feels like it doesn't even belong in the game. But Inkjet also serves as a means to feed the enemy E-Leader and redeem the free Respawn Punisher coupon on your back, because you're saying, hey, I'm gonna pop up, please shoot me, and then you die. Cool stuff. This isn't even to mention the lack of distribution on weapons, because as of now, like 5 months into Splatoon 3, there's only 2 weapons in the entire game with Inkjet. About 5 months into it. So that's great representation right there, even if you compare it to the amount of weapons that have other specials. Inkjet is like the absolute bottom in terms of what has access to it in the first place. And to go beyond that, going back to the Twitter thread, pretty much every Try and Ballpoint player right now says they hate their kits, and Inkjet is a large reason for that. So okay, let's get into the question of the video itself, the title. Why do I even think it's here? We're about to get into that, but first I'm going to ask you to subscribe because I have to throw it somewhere in the video, so that's going to go right here. If you did, thanks. If you already are, thank you again. Alright, so some of the Twitter comments arguing for the justification of Jetpack being in the game is the one mode where I actually agree, and I think it's quite good. But that's not a PvP mode, that's Salmon Run. And Salmon Run Inkjet is incredibly useful and easily one of the best specials to deal with some of the most annoying bosses in the mode, you know, being the flyfish, it takes 2 shots to take it down. It's really, really good at getting rid of the stingray, and it lifts you high up, you know, you can float over objects, out of bounds for a little bit, and helps you stall in case you're the last one alive, you want to revive your teammates. And the range of Jetpack is pretty respectable, I think it's around like unscoped E-liter range, so that's pretty good, it's really, really good in Salmon Run. It has more qualities, but you know, the ones I listed alone and handling those kind of like S-tier boss threats is excellent. And I really do love having Inkjet in Salmon Run. So that brings up the idea in my mind and made me kind of talk with my friends about it. And it's sort of the idea that I wish they sort of just left Inkjet as a Salmon Run exclusive special, honestly, and that it wasn't in the PvP at all. And the thing is, the idea isn't unprecedented in 3, because Splashdown in Splatoon 2, by the end of it, in a competitive, like, serious level against, you know, strong players, it's pretty much a meme tier special. Like, it just bricks anything it touches and ruins a bunch of kits. So what did they do in Splatoon 3 with all the returning specials? Did they bring back Splashdown? Yeah, they did. But it's exclusive to story mode as a special that you can paint for, and I think that's the perfect fit for it, and that's great. It fits single player as sort of that panic button or reset. It does damage, it can harm things around you, it paints an immediate area around you. It's really good. I think the idea of recycling concepts if they actually belong in the area they're put in is really good, and that it can be great. For example, I think Stingray in PvP in Splatoon 2 is pretty bad design, but it was also really, really good in Salmon Run for sort of similar reasons to Inkjet. Having infinite range, it pierces bosses, it's great at dealing with flyfish, stingers, piercing, steelheads, scrappers, all that sort of thing. It's kind of a shame because, to paraphrase one Twitter comment, it went something along the lines of, I want Inkjet in the game because I think it looks cool. And I kind of, you know, I do think Inkjet looks cool. You know, I'll throw up a clip here of me getting a quad with all directs with Inkjet, and that's like the 1 in 1 million chance that Inkjet actually does anything in Splatoon 3. But, you know, just being cool doesn't translate to being useful or viable or worth it at all, especially in the current patch, you know? As much as a cute novelty as it is, there really isn't a reason to pick Inkjet right now when you have specials like Zipcaster and Crab Tank, which do sort of similar things, but in a much more flexible, less vulnerable sort of way, as opposed to Inkjet, where it definitely, you know, feels like it's just an afterthought compared to specials like Crab Tank and Zipcaster, which are new and they belong in the game, and they definitely feel like they're designed to be here. Now, yeah, they could buff Inkjet, which I think is pretty likely at this point given how weak it is, but, you know, there's also that lack of distribution. Again, there's only 2 weapons with it, and I don't really think they complement the weapons they're on very well. But that's kind of just how I feel right now. I want to make this discussion video. I was an Emperor player too for a period around like 2018, and that's when Inkjet was strong, and that was a really, really fun weapon. You know, the dually dodge roll and the recoil on Jetpack. It was really good. I enjoyed it back then, but it just doesn't feel like it belongs in Splatoon 3 at all right now. So I wanted to, you know, try to talk about it a bit. I wanted to, you know, ask you for your opinions. What do you think on Jetpack? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you want it to be better? Do you think it even belongs in the game? Are you also a ballpoint or tri player that's kind of lamenting the fact you got a bottom tier special right now? Let me know. Maybe it'll belong one day with, you know, patches and buffs, but we'll see. Until then, I'm gonna be sad because I really want to play Tri-Slosher, but this kit is awful. Where is the Nouveau? Please, I need the Nouveau. I need a kit. I want to feel like I'm not throwing with Tri, please.